Caseus, Clone Wars. Part 1, The Rookie and the Padawan. Chapter 3. Caseus sat in his quarters. He was staring at a hollow projection of Sarah.
That's terrible, Caseus. I'm sorry.
It's my fault. My stupid temper lost us a valuable ally. Now Master Takai is furious with me. I guarantee you this is going to hurt my chances of facing the trials anytime soon.
Don't talk like that. I know things seem bad now, but maybe look at this as another lesson. What is it she said? Defeat isn't without silver lining?
This is bigger than just losing a sparring match, Sarah. All the resources we used to get here, all the troops, all the preparation. Wasted. All because Ventress got into my head. Sometimes I wonder why she chose to train me. I just feel like I'm more trouble than I'm worth.
Caseus, you're letting your negative thoughts cloud your mind. Sure, you can be a bit clueless, and a bit reckless, and a bit clumsy.
You're really not helping here, Sarah.
But you've also got a good heart. You're always there for us. Me, Corbin, Master Takai. You're perfectly willing to risk your life to help us when we need you. That's why she chose to train you. Because of your compassion and your bravery. She won't stay mad at you forever. And even if she did, I'll always have your back.
Caseus smiled softly. Thanks, Sarah. You're right. I've just got to accept the fact that I screwed up. Deal with the consequences and move on. I'll talk to you later.
May the Force be with you, Caseus.
You too, Sarah. The hologram ended as Caseus sighed and removed his armor, setting it back in the box before sitting down on his bunk. As nice as Sarah's words were, they didn't soothe the pain he felt of disappointing his master. There was a knock at the door. Caseus knew already who was there. Come in, Master. The door opened as Master Takai stepped in, a very stern look engraved onto her face. Caseus, what were you thinking? I'm sorry, Master. Do you realize what your actions have cost us? Herdessa could have been an invaluable resource to the Republic. Now there's very little chance that the Countess will align with us. I'm very disappointed in you, Caseus. Master, it was Ventress. She was saying terrible things and I lost control. I told you not to play into her game, Caseus. That's exactly what she wanted. Your actions have dealt a significant blow to our efforts. You're relieved of your position as commander, effective immediately. Until such a time where you've shown you're responsible enough to bear such responsibilities. Caseus was nearly in tears, but he kept his composure. I understand, Master. You would do well to think on your actions, my young apprentice. Master Takai turned to leave. Master. Caseus picked up his box of armor and handed it to her. I don't deserve this. Hesitating briefly, Master Takai took the armor and left Caseus alone in his quarters. He felt a lump form in his throat as a tear rolled down his cheek and onto the floor. She's my master, R3. She knows what's best. I'm going to sleep. Lying on his bunk, Caseus closed his eyes. He wouldn't be able to sleep even if he wanted to. But there wasn't much else he could do. After hours of silence, he got up. Staying in the room wasn't going to help. He decided to take a walk through the ship and see if there were any new developments. As he made his way to the south corridors, he stared out the window. Nothing. They were still orbiting Herdessa.
Commander?
Caseus turned and saw Juro.
Anything I can help with?
No, thank you. I'll be fine. And you don't have to answer to me. I was stripped of my ranking. Juro scratched the back of his neck.
I'm sorry to hear about that, sir.
You don't have to be sorry. It was my fault. Have you heard anything? The comm channels have been pretty dead.
Nothing yet. If I had to guess, I'd say we're not out of the woods yet. Right now, most of us are on standby until further notice. We think General Takai wants to try and reopen negotiations with the Countess.
If that happens, it'll be a miracle. So, you're a soldier?
Bred from birth, sir.
Do you have any special skills?
Well, I'm not the best with a blaster, but I can get the job done if need be. I put my skills to use in keeping our men safe and healthy. On Camino, I was specialized in war zone medical care. So when things get a bit more organized with the higher-ups and the commanding officers, I may put in a request to be assigned to medical.
I think that's honorable. We need soldiers like you out in the field. If we can smooth things out here, I'll try to put a good word in for you with my master and Captain Kriega.
Thank you, sir. I'm honored.
Caseus suddenly received a call on his comlink.
Caseus, report to the bridge immediately.
I'll be right there, Master. Caseus turned to Juro and bowed. I'll let you get back to business then. See you around. As he walked, Caseus was worried about what his master wanted. He'd soon find out, though. Arriving on the bridge, Master Takai was speaking to a few of her troops before she turned her attention to Caseus. I've spoken with the Countess. After a lot of convincing and no small amount of apologies, she has agreed to speak with us again. You, however, will remain here. What about Ventress? Ventress is a problem I can handle. Now you are to stay here and await my return. If any issue arises, inform Captain Kriega. Caseus sighed. Yes, Master. I won't be long. Master Takai turned and walked towards the door. Master. Yes, Caseus? Be careful. Master Takai nodded and left the bridge, leaving Caseus to stare out the window. He wished he was back at the temple. Things seemed more structured back there, and simple. He thought back to his early days at the temple. He took part in a small tournament to showcase his skills to a potential master. He didn't make it far, but one Jedi saw something in him. Master Takai had only recently passed her trials when he met her. He was so excited that she had chosen to train him. He never really had anyone to look up to, or learn from. Someone to guide him through life. She had such high hopes for him. Now he was wondering if he could live up to those expectations. As he stared out the window, he saw Master Takai's starfighter leave the hangar and descend out of view to the planet below. Caseus felt R3 bump against his leg and put his hand on the droid's domed head. Thanks, R3. Helps to know you've still got my back. I'm going to contact Corbin. See if he's been having better luck lately than I have. Returning to his quarters, Caseus entered Corbin's contact code into his holoprojector. Soon, Corbin's image appeared. He was sitting on his bed. He looked pretty worse for wear.
Hey.
Hey, you feeling okay?
I'll be fine. Just tired. Master Terran and I are being deployed to the Outer Rim tomorrow morning.
More unexpected deployments, huh?
I've come to expect more of them over the past few months. They say they need us on the front lines due to our combat experience. But I'm so tired. When I'm not out in the field, I'm researching, training, or filling out mission reports.
Corbin, when was the last time you slept?
Like the full night's sleep? I'd say probably a week or two ago.
Maybe you should talk to your master. I know they want you out there, but you're running yourself ragged.
I can't say no. These people need me. The last thing I want to be is a disappointment to the Jedi.
Those words stung Caseus. Yeah, me neither.
How's Erdessa?
I don't really want to talk about it. Let's just say I screwed something up and Master Takai isn't too happy.
Is she ever happy?
When I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, yeah. Messing up political negotiations seems to be her pet peeve.
Well, that and Trandoshans.
Yeah. Tell me, what have you heard about Dravok?
Not a peep. He's really staying off the radar. Not even our intelligence can come up with anything.
Well, that's not good. He's more dangerous when we don't know where he is.
Well, next time I see him, I'll be sure to repay him for my arm.
Right. Well, I'll let you get some rest, Corbin. You need it. I'll talk to you soon.
Be safe, buddy.
You too. Caseus shut off the hologram and sat in his bunk, with his hand on his forehead. Sarah was right. Corbin was being run into the ground. It wasn't as though there were many options, though. The Order's numbers had been drastically damaged on Geonosis. They needed all the Jedi they could spare. Still, he couldn't help but be worried for his friend. As the hours passed, Caseus wondered why the negotiations were taking as long as they were. Then again, his actions earlier most likely made the idea of short negotiations impossible to fathom. As he wondered what he could do to pass the time, his comlink began to beep. He was receiving a distress signal from Master Takai. Caseus got up and ran from his quarters to the bridge and found Captain Kriega. "Captain, I just received a distress signal from General Takai. I'm going down to help."
I'm afraid I can't let you do that. Given your recent demotion, Master Takai has given me direct orders to make sure you remain on board.
"But she's in danger, Captain. I have to go help her, especially if Ventress is involved."
We've received no distress signal on our channels. More likely than not, your comlink is on the fritz. Now return to your quarters. That's an order.
Caseus stood and stared at the captain in frustration before returning to his quarters. Walking through the door, he took out his repair kit and examined his comlink. Everything was functioning properly. This couldn't have been a malfunction. He needed to get down there. But he couldn't just go into the hangar and grab a ship. They'd detain him instantly. He needed some way off this ship. The escape pods. If he could get to one of those, he could get down to the surface and find his master, deal with the situation, and call for a shuttle. "R3, I need your help. I need to get down to the surface. If I launch myself down in an escape pod, they'll find out that one of them was launched. If you can scramble the signal sent by the pods for a few minutes, I can launch myself down without them realizing. There should be a control panel by the pods that you can crack. I know it's risky, but I can't leave her down there if she's in danger. Please, I need you." "Thanks, R3. Let's go." Caseus opened his door and saw a few clones making their patrol. Quickly, he used the force to knock over a waste container. The clones immediately stopped and turned to investigate as Caseus and R3 crept by and fled down the corridors to the lower levels of the ship. "We're close, R3. The escape pods are just around the corner." Just as he was thinking that this would be an easy escape, Captain Kriega's voice came over the intercom.
Attention! Cassius Urshon is attempting to flee the ship in violation of direct orders. Find him and detain him. Set your weapons to stun. Do not harm him.
Great. Hurry. As he rounded the corner, he saw the escape pods, unguarded. "Okay, R3. Get to work scrambling the signal." R3 beeped and began hacking into the control panel as Caseus began boarding the pod.
Hold it right there, Commander.
Caseus looked over his shoulder and saw Juro aiming his weapon. "Juro, stand down. I need to get down there and help my master before something bad happens."
I'm sorry, sir. I can't take orders from you. Step out of the pod and come with me.
Caseus looked at R3 around the corner. Juro didn't see him. R3 slowly crept behind the rookie clone. "I can't stand down, Juro. You have your rules, and I have mine. If you won't let me go..." R3 quickly charged at Juro, knocking him forward into the pod as Caseus launched them into space. "Then you're coming with me."
What are you doing?
Juro aimed his blaster as Caseus ignited his saber and held it in front of Juro's face. "I need to help my master, Juro. When I get her out of here and everyone is safe, I'll gladly turn myself in. I'll tell them exactly what happened and you won't face any repercussions. But for now, either help me or stay out of my way." Juro stayed silent and slowly lowered his weapon, and Caseus switched his saber off.
You're committed. I'll give you that. Fine. So we get down there, and then what? If a Jedi Master is sending out a distress signal, what chance do a Padawan and a single clone have?
We're not going down there to fight any battles. This is an extraction. We find her and we get out.
And if we fail, what happens then?
We won't. Not if we stick together.
You Jedi are real optimists, aren't you?
When you trust in the Force, you begin to realize that nothing is impossible.
If you say so.
The pod continued slowly approaching the planet as Caseus looked out the window. Something was wrong. He felt a pit forming in his stomach as he closed his eyes and concentrated. Something is coming. Something big.
How big?
As they gazed out the window, a separatist dreadnought emerged from hyperspace.
Carabast.
Master Takai was right. The Separatists are going to try and take Herdessa by force. We need to get to the palace and find Master Takai. I'll set the coordinates.
Commander, we have a problem.
Juro pointed out the window as Separatist fighters emerged from the dreadnought and began firing upon the cruiser. Stay calm. We're approaching the atmosphere.
Look out!
Caseus turned and saw a vulture droid heading straight towards them.
These pods have no weapons. We're sitting ducks.
Caseus held his hands out towards the window at the approaching fighter and concentrated. With great effort, he slightly angled the vulture droid away just as it began firing. It stopped a direct hit, but one of the blasts hit the engine as it began hurtling towards the surface.
We're hit!
Caseus looked at the controls and started brainstorming ideas. We have to slow this thing down. We're coming in too hot. Juro rushed to the controls.
These pods have drag fins on them to slow the descent, but it won't slow us down enough.
We don't have any options. Deploy the drag fins and brace for impact.
Deploying!
Juro pressed a few buttons and flipped a switch as the drag fins deployed. Caseus was sweating as the planet's surface came closer and closer. They were slowing down, but they were still descending far too fast. Wait! These pods have an emergency thrust propulsion system, right?
You want us to go faster?
No! I want you to strap in and angle the drag fins downward on my mark. Trust me. Juro nodded and readied himself. Now! As Juro realigned the drag fins, the pod leveled out, and Caseus ignited the emergency propulsion system before the pod could hit the ground, sending them flying straight forward like a bullet. Brace for impact! The two stowaways assumed crash positions as the pod landed on the hard rocky surface, skidding forward at dangerous speeds and rolling over. Caseus and Juro remained strapped into their seats as they kept their eyes closed and were knocked around by the cargo. The pod soon lost its momentum and skidded to a halt. Caseus took a deep breath and unbuckled himself from his seat. Juro sat, hyperventilating as Caseus grabbed his shoulders. It's okay. It's okay. Breathe. Look at me. Caseus removed Juro's helmet and looked him in the eyes. We're okay. Just take a minute to breathe. Juro nodded, still shaking as Caseus cut a hole in the pod with his lightsaber and stepped outside. That attack had knocked them off course. Miles off in the distance, he could see the tall palace, and in the sky above, a space battle between the Republic and the Separatists. Juro had finally calmed himself and stood next to Caseus.
Remind me never to get into an escape pod with you again.
Noted. Now come on. We need to get to that palace as fast as we can.
That's miles off. How are we going to make it there before it's too late?
Caseus looked over the horizon and saw two small clouds of dust coming at them from the palace. Get in the pod. Something is coming fast.
Great.
As they got back into the smoldering remains of the escape pod, Caseus removed his macro binoculars and looked at what was coming. Battle droid scouts on speeders. Droid scouts. I have an idea.
Great. Your ideas have been wonderful so far.
Just quit complaining and play dead.
What?
Just do it.
Fine.
Caseus laid down on the floor of the pod and closed his eyes. Juro draped himself over one of the seats and remained motionless. After a minute, they heard speeders park outside.
This is the spot. Get in there and make sure they're dead. What about you? Don't talk back to me. I'm in charge here. Roger, roger.
The battle droid walked into the ship and took notice of the two supposedly dead passengers.
I think they're dead. Well, blast them to make sure.
The droid aimed its blaster at Caseus, who quickly sprung into action and sliced the droid's head clean off. Rushing outside, the other droid took notice and hopped onto his speeder and hightailed it back towards the palace. Juro, get on the speeder!
Right.
The two of them quickly commandeered the speeder and drove off in pursuit of the fleeing droid.
If he contacts his squad, we'll be in big trouble.
I have an idea. Get alongside him. Juro activated the thrusters as they crept closer. The droid turned and began firing his blaster. Caseus stood, balancing himself on the front of the speeder, and deflected the blast before leaping onto the other one and cutting the droid down, taking the controls directly after.
Nice job, Commander.
Thanks. Let's get to that palace.
About that. What do we do when we get there? There's bound to be more clankers guarding the entrance.
We'll figure something out. Let's focus on getting there first. As Caseus and Juro were engaged in their mission below, Captain Kriega was busy dealing with the Separatist attack, shouting orders at his troopers. Captain, what's going on here? Captain Kriega was surprised to see Master Takai enter the bridge.
General, are you all right?
I was fine until I saw we were under attack. Where is Caseus?
He's down on the planet looking for you.
What?
He said that you would send him a distress signal and rushed off.
I didn't send him a distress signal. Why didn't you stop him?
He managed to sneak past my men. One of them is down there with him.
Master Takai looked at her belt and saw her comlink was missing. Sneaking around seems to be his specialty these days. I need to get down there and get him out before it's too late. Master Takai rushed down the corridors towards the hangar, followed by Captain Kriega. Just as she arrived, she saw a damaged droid fighter heading straight for the airlock shield generator. The ship crashed and immediately deactivated the shields as the emergency hangar doors shut. Master Takai turned to the captain. Captain, I need those doors opened.
I can't, General. As long as the shields are down, the emergency doors are sealed shut.
Master Takai growled in frustration. Captain, keep those fighters occupied. I have an idea. Back on Herdessa, Cassius and Juro approached the palace, making their way on foot, keeping hidden behind a formation of rocks. Juro took out his macro binoculars and looked towards the entrance. There were at least 20 battle droids guarding.
We got a squad of clankers by the door. What's our plan?
I'm trying to think of something.
Well, you might want to hurry before reinforcements show up.
Cassius looked at the droids and at the speeder. How well can you pilot one of those things?
I can get around.
That should work. I need you to ride by and cause a distraction while I sneak in. Keep them occupied as long as you can.
I don't know, Commander. It seems risky.
I've heard that a single clone is worth at least 10 of these droids. If you're half as good with a blaster as you are thinking on your feet, this shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Try to be quick.
Roger that. Cassius crept closer to the front of the palace, still hidden from view, and talked into his comlink. Okay, Juro. Go. Juro hopped on his speeder and immediately drove towards the droids, catching them off guard and knocking a few of them over before speeding off away from the palace.
Hey, that clone has one of our speeders. How did he get it? Who cares? Get him!
The droids moved from the entrance and hopped onto their speeders, chasing after Juro as Cassius snuck through the front entrance and made his way to the elevator. Stepping inside, he rode to the top floor. Something was wrong. He couldn't sense his master, but he needed to be sure, and he couldn't let any harm come to the Countess. As he exited the elevator, he saw the palace guards out in front, keeping watch. Cassius walked over to them. I need to see the Countess. The guards immediately pointed their spears toward him. You are not permitted in the palace. I wasn't exactly asking. Cassius turned on his lightsaber and sliced through the spears and pushed the guards back into the wall, knocking them unconscious before taking their key and opening the door. Ventress stood in the center of the room, holding her crimson saber at the neck of the terrified Countess. Another thing you'll discover about the Jedi, Your Grace. Ventress held out Master Takai's stolen comlink. They're pathetically predictable.